Find the values of cosine of 2 theta and sine of 2 theta, given that sine of theta equals -4/5 and pi is less than theta and theta is less than 3 pi over 2. First, you have to figure out which quadrant it is, and based on the fact that pi is less than theta, but is also pi is less than theta and theta is less than 3 pi over 2, it means it's in the third quadrant. And then you have to plot out your triangle using the sine equals opposite over hypotenuse. So being that sine equals -4 over 5, you would put the 4 over here and the 5 right there. The 5 being the hypotenuse. Alright, next you would use the Pythagorean theorem to find x on the triangle. And you would square 4 and 5 and then subtract 16 from 25 in order to find the missing side, because the missing side is not the hypotenuse. So b squared would equal 9, and you square root both of those, and b becomes 3. But since the triangle is in the third quadrant, it would have to be a -3. Next, you then have to figure out cosine, and once again using the SOHCAHTOA, you can determine that it is, since theta is this angle right here, it would become adjacent over hypotenuse, so the adjacent side is -3 over 5, becoming cosine of theta. Alright, and next, using the formulas found in the foldable, you can figure out sine of 2 theta and cosine of 2 theta. To solve sine of 2 theta, first you just plug in sine and cosine into the formula, and we'll start with sine, and you multiply the 2 straight into the 4, and then 1 times 5, and that would equal -8/5, and then you multiply -8/5 by -3/5, and the negatives cancel out, making 24 over 25. So that's the answer for sine of 2 theta. Sine of 2 theta equals 24 over 25. And then cosine of 2 theta is a little more complicated. You plug in the -3 over 5 for the cosine and the -4 over 5 for the sine, but then you have to square both parts of them. So the 3 would become a 9 over the 5, which would become a 25, minus the 4 squared, which would become 16, over the 5 squared, which would become 25. And since the negatives are squared, they both become positive. So positive 9/25 minus positive 16/25 equals -7/25. And that's the answer for cosine of 2 theta.